Well, hello everybody. This is Corey Matthews coming to you from my blog site, Straight to the Core, with a vlog post today. I'd like to thank you so much for coming out to check out my blog site. And today I want to talk a little bit about ESPN's former show, SC6, with Jamil Hill and Michael Smith. Now, SC6 was a show which was supposed to be a different type of sports center, which ESPN was famous for, which was to be hosted by Jamil Hill and Michael Smith, who were already hosted the network. They hosted a show called His and Hers. And it was just supposed to give a different take on sports than they had had on the past, the network, on sports centers provided by Michael Smith and Jamil Hill. But what happened was the show never worked out. Michael Smith actually left this week, the show, this past Friday, and did his last episode in the last broadcast. And this followed Jamil Hill leaving in February, after she had some problems with the network last year in September and October, after she had published a series of tweets talking about President Trump and him being a white supremacist, and her displeasure with Cowboys owner Jerry Jones not allowing his players to kneel for the national anthem. The network was upset with her for these tweets. They felt that even though she had the right to personal opinion, they didn't want her to make tweets that seemed like they were coming from the network. And so that was ultimately a big problem for the network. Now, for me, I just want to talk a little bit about today about why did SC6 not work. I think the first reason it didn't work was because the show didn't fit Hill and Smith's styles. Each of them were opinionated. Each of them input their own takes into the topics that they covered. And I don't think that was ever really the goal of SportsCenter. I think the goal of SportsCenter was and still is to be a show that's all about reporting. It's not about much opinion. It's about presenting the news of sports and letting the audience choose. And I just don't think Hill and Smith were used to that, and there was nothing wrong with that. So I think that was the first reason, which leads us to the second reason of I just think it was different expectations. I think the network had different expectations than what Hill and Smith originally had for the show, and that ultimately led to these expectations not lining up, and they just weren't comfortable adjusting. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just it didn't work out between the two, and they both had different ideas what the show was going to be about. And then three, which I think might be the biggest thing, is it was just a different audience than what was its different audience than what Hill and Smith had on the past with their show His and Hers. They had a different audience that was, again, more used to just hearing the news and not really hearing opinions put in. And ultimately, that different audience, the audience that they wanted to kind of grow and to expand, it never came about. And so the original audience was still there, and I don't think they were as receptive to the show as ESPN hoped, and they never gained the new audience that they wanted to. So that's just my take on why the show didn't work. I think Hill and Smith are great both commentators, and I really hope they find another platform on ESPN or another site to do the great work that they do. Thank you again for checking out my blog, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye-bye.